Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Classy Nerd Talk. Tonight is Night's Watch, which is Nerds Watch, aka Nerds Watch. Sorry, not Night's Watch, Nerds Watch. Sorry, got my tongue twisted up. So this is a podcast about Game of Thrones, and tonight was a new episode of Game of Thrones, episode 3 of the new season 7. I am your host, Sir Berculator, aka Austin, and my co-host.
Mahler, yeah. Well,
Mahler 67.
You just kind of sat there. I'm like, oh, does he expect me to say something? No, I guess so. So yeah, Mahler 67, aka Josiah. You can just call me Josiah, aka should have been Mahler. Hi guys.
Hey.
Yeah, good.
Okay, so just a little rundown. So podcast about Game of Thrones. So spoiler alert.
Yep.
If you haven't watched it. Okay, so let's talk. The first thing we should do is we should pick a house and let's talk from there. So why don't you go ahead and pick a house?
I think because of how much the episode focused around the Starks and the Targaryens and the Lannisters, I say we go the unapproached Tarly with Mr. Sam first, because his was very short. Sweet, we can talk about it real fast, and we can then move on from there and get to the juicy parts. So what do you think of Mr. Sam at the Citadel?
Okay, so the last time we saw Sam, he was trying to treat, I forget what that disease is called, but it's like stone. Grayscale, that's right. Mm-hmm. So he's trying to treat grayscale, which if you don't know what grayscale is, it's like a bunch of like these scales that get all over your body, and sooner or later you turn into a rock person, and then you go crazy or something. I don't remember. But the thing is what we saw was he actually treated him, and it actually worked, which is actually supposedly like a really, really hard procedure to do. So he ends up treating Droth, or I forget how. Jorah's, and you know, he kind of, the Grand Maester, I actually really like that part. That's like one of my favorite parts tonight was when he like looks over at him and he's like, what happened? He's like, I just started feeling better, you know, because like they're trying to keep that secret.
It's funny. I found it funny how he was just like, it just started feeling better. And I just love the like look between Jorah and like Sam. Like they're that guy who's like in the hospital with his wife, is just like, what happened, honey? I fell down the stairs. It was that exact same look where it's just like, say what you're going to say, like I just felt better. Like, dang,
yeah,
dude.
And the thing was,
he did not sell it.
No, he didn't sell it at all. And I like the part where he didn't need to sell it, especially that the part at when he said the climate. He's like, oh, well, it's the climate.
Yeah, it's like, must have been the climate. Like,
must have been the climate or whatever. And I just laughed really, really super hard about that. But overall, I kind of saw this coming. I really did. The reason why I saw this coming was I knew that they couldn't kill that character off, and it had to succeed. But then the Grey Maester kind of knew something was a little fishy, so he's like, hey, I'm Sam. I'm going to have to need you in my chambers. And then, you know, he like kind of shows up and he's like thinking that he's going to like, you know, expel him or whatever. And he kind of feels down, but like deep down back in your head, you know, you kind of know, you're like, yeah, he'll let him go. But then the funniest thing happens. And that is he actually tells him it was like, you know, a very hard procedure, and he cured him and he saved that human being's life and stuff. So it was a good thing. But then he looks at the scroll table and he's like, those scrolls are wearing off. So I want you to rewrite them. What'd you think? You were going to get a reward? Your reward is not getting expelled from the Citadel. So I kind of felt that too coming up. But yeah, that's what we talked about. That's how Sam was tonight. So
yeah, see, I think all this did was set up Sam to find out more information. Because Asabi wants to believe that what he's trying to find won't be in a book, but it will be in a scroll of like something ancient, and that's essentially what the Archmaester did. Was he's like, hey, you've been wanting to like get into these forbidden places. Well, here's even older stuff start reading it, learn it, and so on and so forth. So I think that's all that, honestly, I think he got exactly what he wanted. He got to do it, but he just doesn't know what's on those scrolls yet, which I think in the next couple episodes we'll find out and move from there.
Yeah. So let's start off with, okay, so we're past that pretty much now. Let's talk about who should we go with next? I'm thinking probably let's start off with the Lannisters. Or do you want to go? Or I think actually let's keep the Lannisters until the end because I really like to get that through.
There's a lot of stuff that happened this episode between the Lannisters. Honestly, it's let's just go down from the very beginning because from this point on, all the houses were just intertwined. It wasn't much of, well, this house did this house did this. It was just much more. Everything was together. The Lancers were affecting the Targaryens. The Targaryens were affecting the Starks. The Starks were up there being like, oh my gosh, reunion. So I say first, let's head up to the Starks real fast with Sansa and good old B-Man. What did you think of the heartwarming reunion?
Oh, man.
Or the heartless reunion. Let's be honest.
He was just Bran,
he's like Dr. X. He's just like, well, hello.
He was seriously like this. When she hugs him, when she's like, Ben, and she hugs him, and then he just does this.
Dude, I don't know what the heck happened from when Three-Eyed Raven died and him crossing the border, but he suddenly just became null and void to the world. He's just like, I have to find my purpose. I am the Three-Eyed Raven. Now.
He's completely emo now because he's like,
it's not even emo. It's not even emo. It's more of just he's like, none of your pitiful mortal wants and desires concerns me. All that matters. Essentially, he's just like, I am the Three-Eyed Raven. I am the holder of this world.
Yeah. Oh. Sansa, let's talk about your dark and dreary night that you don't want to know about.
Yeah, that was really creepy.
Exactly. That's what I thought.
I'm just like, you could have talked about any other thing. You could have talked about how Jon took over the North with Sansa and they killed Ramsay. You could have talked about I don't know, Arya or something like that. But no, he chooses you were beautiful that night in your white gown. And then her look just oh gosh, he's talking about with Ramsay. And the only thing that could enter my mind, a sane person in this situation, she would scream out, "Did you see me naked?" Because I feel that would be the first thing that came to my mind if I was a girl and my baby brother's I saw you that night. I hope you didn't look at us. I hope you stopped your vision right there because that's messed up beyond multiple reasons.
Yeah.
Three-Eyed Raven or not.
Yeah, you should stop right there. But it was really confusing how he was trying to discuss who. And I don't know why he just didn't show her. He could have had something happen. A freaking wolf comes by and he just does the eye back thing and takes control of the wolf or something. Or he kind of shows his power off or something. That's the whole thing that I was waiting on the whole time. And I really hated you actually tonight when I called you and you said, "Hey man, I already watched the episode. I'm gonna go take a shower. And then I'll get back with you." So then I called you and you're like, "Oh," and I was like, "Hey, I'm just starting the episode tonight." Or right now, I just got back from the tournament for Smash Bros. And, driving and it was a lot of traffic. But when you told me this, you said, "It's okay. It's okay. It's okay, Austin." I didn't know what to expect at the time because the thing was I was kind of freaking out because it was oh no, someone's dying. Someone's going to die. So the first thing that I thought was Davos was going to die tonight. And I was like, no.
Why did you think Davos would die?
Because you said that. You said that. And that's one of my main characters. The Onion Knight is so awesome. But let's get back to this. Okay, so Sansa and Bran start. See, I thought it was going to be Arya, and I think everyone else thought it was going to be Arya. So now here soon we're going to see Arya show up to Winterfell, or she's already there and no one knows.
Yeah, I was actually expecting Arya too, just because last time we saw Arya coming in. I was happy to see Bran, because I think this will be the introduction to explaining that Jon is not Ned's son. I think that's going to cause a lot of things. I do like how they kind of wrapped up the whole drama in the North. It's just like, Jon's not here no more drama. Like, Sansa isn't sitting there power hungry and Littlefinger whispering in her ear. Now Sansa's in control, and apparently she has a really good knack for it, which is good. I think we'll probably end with Winterfell in Sansa's hands. I think when the series ends, if any of the Starks are still alive, Winterfell will be in Sansa's hands.
Yeah.
Because she is. It shows that she's capable of rule. And every single child of Ned Stark's who have better claim than her are like have other things they have to do. Like Jon has to go off, and all we know he's going to be with Daenerys somewhere. I don't know if they'll get married or get together like a lot of people want, but he's going to be off. Yeah. Arya has no claim over Sansa, and I don't think she'll want any claim, especially after the whole Nymeria thing. And Bran is just like, I can't claim Winterfell. I'm the three-eyed raven, Sansa. I wish I could explain it to you, but I can't. Wait, I thought you said that I thought you were the three-eyed raven. It's really difficult to explain. No, it's not. There's another guy. He's the three-eyed raven. He died. You became the new one. What's so hard to explain about that? It was so frustrating. I'm like, you're just trying to be mysterious for no reason.
It's actually pretty true. He was just being really, really creepy there for a long time. I don't know why, though, because I think after, like, Jon, like, choked him, I'm pretty sure he just kind of, like, stood back a little bit. But she did really well. Like, she was talking about the armor and the leather and stuff. And, so we're seeing her character move forward.
Yes, which I'm very thankful for. I feel like this is going to show her character off, like her ability as a person. Like she may not inspire loyalty, but she is a good leader of like the people. She isn't going to be the ones who lead the army, but she's good with people. Like she's like, well, we need to get more bushels out from other towns into Winterfell so we can stock up. She's like, why is that armor not getting leather on it? It's getting winter. Shouldn't that have leather on it? And the one, like, I don't know who he is. I can't remember the dude, but he's like, he was with the whole people with Jon. He's like, you're right. And he turns, he's like, hey, what the heck is going on with this leather? It was great. But no, I think she's really going to shine up there. And I have no doubt in my head that if Sansa's alive in the end of this, she'll be control of Winterfell.
Yeah. Yep, I think so too. I think it will lead into her like being part of Winterfell completely. So she'll be like the one that's ruling. That's how I feel.
I can believe that. Yeah.
So yeah. So let's move on to the other aka Stark. Actually, it's a different Stark. But why don't you go ahead?
Are you talking about Jon?
Yeah, let's talk about
Stark I can talk about. Yeah. Okay, so Stark. Jon played a very interesting part in tonight. It wasn't. I don't think it was the meeting or the heart-worn thing that everyone expected. I think a lot of people expect them to meet and instantly be like, yo, you're a good person. Hey, you're a good person. Let's hug you out and let's ride some dragons up north and kill Cersei. I think that's what everyone wanted, but it's not what we got, and I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful it's not that way. Because, like, she met Jon, Daenerys met him, and they, like, argued. Because she's like, why aren't you bending your knee? And he's just like, I'm the king of the north. I can't do that. And she's just like, your family had loyalty to me for generations. And he's just like, yeah, well, your father burned my uncle, my grandpa, and my uncle. And she's like, well, you shouldn't blame me for the sins of my father. He's like, well, you shouldn't expect me to hold loyalties for my grandfathers. And I'm just like, that's good. That's like on point. Like both of their thought processes were on point. And I love the fact that Tyrion was just pulling for Jon the whole time. It really makes you feel like Tyrion hasn't changed, and Jon's like Jon and Tyrion's relationship hasn't changed at all. And after like the long engagement, Daenerys gets told about you're on ship, everything destroying theirs. And they like end the session right there. But there's a cool interaction when they're like yelling at each other in Davos. I just want to point out that Davos, for being a king's hand, he speaks very freely, and he is lucky that he's like the right hand man for Jon right now. Because if he was just a soldier or anything like that, I'm pretty sure he would get in a lot of trouble with how he just interrupts people. But I do like how Davos slips about Jon dying.
Yeah.
And taking a knife. And like Jon stops and turns to him like, please stop.
Yeah, don't say it. Like, because I was like, I don't know. Like what's going on here? Because it's like she gave like that weird look to like Tyrion, like, wait, what do you mean took a heart to the thing?
Yeah.
So,
Well, see, that was the thing. Like when he said that, the first thing that entered my head was like, oh, are they just going to brush over that? Like, no one's going to question that. Like, if I was like a normal person, I'm like, what the heck do you mean a knife to the heart? Like, are you undead? Like, what's going on with here?
Are
like,
you mental? That. Are you bleeding out?
He's digging. Never mind. But no, like it just. I'm like, what are you doing over here? But I'm glad that they come back to that later when Daenerys and Tyrion's talking about it. That didn't get overlooked. But I like the second Jon and Tyrion part 2 when they're out on the stocks talking. And that's when Tyrion finds out that he wants dragonglass. And I find it funny that Tyrion believes Jon about the whites.
Yeah,
but he legitimately like tells Daenerys, she's like, so you believe him? He's like, I want to think he's wrong, but I can't deny him. Like he's normally a strong, like a good individual. He wouldn't lie about something like this. So Daenerys agrees to let him dig out all the dragonglass he wants, which is good. They're going to start small, strengthen bonds, get better. I think over the next couple episodes, Jon's kind of stuck in Dragonstone right now. They took his boat, they took his weapons and everything. He literally can't do anything. And so he asks her, he's like, am I your prisoner? She's like, not yet. So I think we're going to see a lot more Jon and Daenerys just kind of walking and talking and getting to know each other. And if any love or anything's going to bloom, that's when it's going to happen. I think Jon will get close to one of the dragons. I want him to get close to a dragon. I don't think he'll ride a dragon yet, but I think he'll get close to a dragon. I'm really hoping it's Rhaegal, which is the one that's named after Daenerys' brother Rhaegar, which is technically Jon's dad, if everything pans out correctly. So I definitely want to see that come to fruition. But I think that will probably happen over the next couple episodes. So yeah, that's what Johnny Boy's doing down in the South. Go ahead. You can go ahead and talk about Daenerys' side of her army.
Well, see, like some of the things. One thing I want to point out, because they weren't part of the houses, but they do work for the houses. Let's talk about Melisandre and Varys. Their little conversation they had, because that was a very main key point of tonight's episode that I saw was Varys and Melisandre were talking. And he says, why didn't you greet Jon and stuff? He's like, well, we left on bad terms and blah, blah, blah. He's like, I'm just here. She says, I'm just here to bring ice and fire together. That's what I was meant to do, which is a huge, huge thing that like it kind of ties into a lot of things because, the first book is called The Song of Ice and Fire. So we know Jon is the ice and Daenerys is the fire. I'm pretty sure. You never know.
Who knows?
You never know. the other thing is she also states like, I have to die in this wilderness.
Yeah, I have to
like
die in this
you.
foreign land. And she's like, just like you. And Varys' eyes is just like,
she knows
like,
his death.
Heck?
Yeah, she knows how he's gonna die.
We think she does. Because like we said, like she even said before that her visions aren't always true. And honestly, like I could see her not. I can see Varys not dying as much as it's like, I don't know. I just don't see Daenerys. I that could mean multiple things. It could mean that he dies in some horrific way, or he just grows old and dies in Westeros. Like that's it. It doesn't say that he will be murdered or die by unnatural cause. It just means that he will die in Westeros. He won't be able to go back to his home, which is fine. Maybe
I don't know how he's gonna die. But that was one of the key points I wanted to touch before we went into Daenerys Starborn. So Daenerys, being Daenerys, she was a big old bee tonight. She kind of was really mean to Jon about it. I kind of felt like there was like this dominance that she had to show over him, and now she's realizing that like Jon is, she needs to get to know Jon because he is an ally. Because after what happened with her and her Grey Worm's army, because Grey Worm's army went to storm
Greyjoys. Oh, you're talking. Oh, you're talking about Grey Worm.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about Greyjoys and how their fleet got destroyed. And I'm just like, no.
So Grey Worm and his army decide to attack Castle Rock.
Tyrion commands them to.
And he tells them about like a little hidden passage he had. Mm-hmm. But then when they show up and they murder everyone, like, wait, there was supposed to be more Lannisters here, which we're going to get into like where those Lannisters were with the other house. Yeah. But right now, like, so Grey Worm's like, so he looks out on the sea and you can just see the Greyjoys destroying his fleet. So I don't know how that's going to work out now because they really moved the chess pieces on that game.
Pretty much what I see that's happened is by them destroying the ships, they can't sail back over to Dragonstone, and they effectively have to march through Westeros in order to get home, or they have to defend. I think we have another Storm's End on our hand right here. In Robert's Rebellion, Stannis took his army down to Storm's End to capture Storm's End and hold it. But when he did that, the Tyrell army came and sieged him. Mm-hmm. And then another army came up from behind them and like laid siege to him until very much the end of the rebellion. And by doing that, he effectively kept some of the soldiers or troops away from the capital. Mm-hmm. I think what we essentially have is that Grey Worm's either going to have to endure a siege or they're going to have to march across the unknown area, like world, to get back to Daenerys. Both are not good situations.
No, not at all.
I just want to say, by the end of this episode, you start feeling like Cersei is a little more like smart than what anyone gives her credit.
People are laying off to be.
Yeah, and that's super frustrating to me. Super frustrating.
Oh yeah.
But yes. Anyways, let's keep going. So you have the Grey Worm, that situation. Let's go ahead and talk. Nah, let's do that. Let's do that after because that's technically. We'll throw that in the Lannister pile of gold. But yeah, we find out that Grey Worm went over there. We found out all this stuff was Tyrion's mindset and Tyrion's plan. And I find it funny. I just feel like this season is really trying to make Tyrion look like he's not as smart as he gives himself credit or people give him credit because he's constantly mispredicting Cersei over and over again. And I think this is going to have a negative impact on his regency with Daenerys. She's going to start seeing him as incompetent or not able to work, which is super frustrating because I feel like this is a flaw in the writing of the series because Cersei though conniving, is not a super high military might. Now she has Jamie, yes, and Jamie's the one who plans out some of the plans. But I just feel like certain things are going too well for Cersei to merit like that. It makes sense. It's frustrating. All get out to me. I'm like, Tyrion is much smarter than this. He wouldn't have been this dumb. I don't know why this is a thing. I'm sure they'll like get past that sooner or later.
Well, and talking about Cersei, on the other hand, really had a key moment this, last episode. We got to see the Greyjoys fall. And when the Greyjoys fell, their uncle took, the woman Greyjoy and also took the 2 Sand Snake girls.
The woman Greyjoy.
Yeah. So the woman Greyjoy, I always forget her name.
Osha.
Osha. And
wait, I think Osha's her name in the books.
Okay.
Whatever. We'll just call her the woman Greyjoy.
But no, they prance her and like make her watch. They bring her to King's Landing, and you come to find out that actually that's his gift. And I really like Aegar Greyjoy right now. He's really, really cocky, and he's just like that buddy comedy guy that I really like, where he's just like, huh? The part where he's talking about Cersei and her and Jamie like doing it.
Oh, wait, he's just like, if you have any tips, let me know. And he's just like, if you have any tips, he's like, does she like it rough? And he's just like, oh gosh, no.
And he's like, the finger in the butt. And he just looked. His look was like, and he's like,
I'm gonna be really happy when he's dead. I don't enjoy him as a character. I'm fine with him as a villain.
Yeah,
but I can't take him seriously. Like
I can't take him serious though. But he's funny. He's funny and ridiculous. That's what I like about him.
Yeah, he's definitely funny and ridiculous. He's not my cup of tea. And as a villain, I find the only thing that makes him appealing as a villain is the sheer fact that he's ruthless. Like, he's technically insane. He knows what he wants, so he's going to take it. But I just don't like him as a villain. I think I would have enjoyed the book version of him more. But I enjoyed Bolton a lot better.
Oh, Ramsay.
Yeah.
I can see that. How crazy it is.
So now, since we kind of moseyed on over to King's Landing, let's go ahead and talk about the Dornish woman, princess, and her daughter.
Okay, so what happens is her daughter and her get sent down to the dungeon, and Cersei's there, and then Cersei starts like talking about, hey, you poisoned my daughter. Tyrell, the other person, tried to kill the mountain but ended up like taunting him, and she kind of just like spears off and says, oh, I kind of taunted him and blah blah blah, and just like your lover. And what happens is something that I kind of guessed that was gonna happen, and I'll make fun of this at the end of this episode because there's some other things that happen. But she wears lipstick and kisses the little girl, and you come to find out that the lipstick is poison. And they kind of do the same reverse. Yeah, it's an irony type thing where it's like, she did it during to kill her daughter, and then now Cersei's doing it to her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So now, and then but it's really terrible because she poisoned this little girl, and she's making her mom watch it like all the time. And, and she's like,
not only does she have to watch her die, she's like, you're going to be down here forever. And you're going to watch your daughter slowly rot, turn to bones, and crumble away. And I'm like, Cersei, does Jaime know that you're doing this? I don't think he does.
She is so like she is like the evilest person in Westeros. I'm pretty sure
she's not evil. She's
worse
just
than
crazy.
Joffrey. She's worse than Joffrey as evil and crazy.
Yeah. Well, Joffrey didn't get to have power. Like, if Joffrey had power back then, like, I think there would be a lot different. but
Yeah, true.
I don't think so.
Okay, so let's move a little bit forward on this. We just got done with pretty much the Lannisters completely. What else do you want to hit on before we hit the end here?
Well, if we're going to talk about the Lannisters, I think we need to also talk about the whole engagement between Cersei and Jaime. And I'm not talking just about them bumping uglies. I'm talking about like how she tries to like first do it, and Jaime's like, no, not now, not now. And then she just kind of forces herself at him. And they're not hiding it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's just like, what are you doing? You can't let them see us. And she opens the door, and the woman like is shocked when she sees Jaime in there and her, and she's just like, okay, act casually. You know, incest is fine. We let Targaryens do it forever, so this will be okay. And so like that whole ordeal happens. But it's interesting to know that Jaime does not feel right around Cersei. He loves her. He loves her, but he does not feel right around her.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to change. I think it's going to change with a couple of the other stuff that happened. So I'm trying to think of what else is there to talk about before we jump into the I personally think
let's talk about the Iron Bank.
There we go. That's good. Yeah. Iron Bank. Go ahead and go.
So the Iron Bank shows up to kind of tell about
Markcraft Holmes. Just saying Markcraft Holmes from Sherlock. I was like, hey, it's him. Ha ha. Where's Sherlock? When's Cumberpatch going to enter into Game of Thrones? Oh my gosh. He's Rhaegar Targaryen. Surprise. He's going to come in and just be like, I'm Rhaegar Targaryen.
But he was just pretty much like, you know, they kind of like hinted at she's trying, the Iron Bank is kind of like hinting at like giving money to Daenerys. Because they're kind of waging a bet between which one's going to have a war and who's going to win. But she kind of like 360s that and was like, look, you know, she like did all that slave labor, all the slave stuff is now gone from Marina or wherever she was.
Yeah.
Marine. And it kind of put it, you know, it kind of like put like a big old debt. Kind of lost a lot of negative like money for them because that was like a huge like enterprise for them was the slave thing, and they're kind of like leaning towards her now.
Yeah. Now, question: do you think they're really leaning towards her, or do you think that they're just trying to like dip their hands in different areas?
Yeah. Sorry.
You need to stop that. Like, seriously.
It's 1 o'clock in the morning here, and
I think you just need to get over yourself.
Okay, so I actually think that they're trying to see if she has, you know, they might go with her. I don't see it too much. I see actually her just like waving a bunch of smoke. But everything that's happened this episode, and especially what happens at the end, I kind of like lean towards now that she's close to like showing that like she can do this. And people, you know, they were kind of like iffy about it, and they kind of like brought up the whole the thing blown up and Joffrey dying. I mean, and Tomlin dying. So I don't know. I think they're gonna go with her though.
Okay, I think that the Iron Bank has so often told her, like, hey, you know, the Iron Bank will get its dues, the Iron Bank will get its dues, and this and that. Simon believes that they are just going to dip their toes into all the different kingdoms in hopes that whoever, like, wins in the end will, like, fix the deficit. It's extremely, like, low. But Asami, I think this is more me wanting this than it actually being true. Asami wants them to pretend like they're with her and then somehow betray her in some way. How true that is, I'll never know until the end of the series. But that's what I really want. But no, I personally felt like the guy from the Iron Bank was way too easily swindled into just doing what she wants.
Mm-hmm.
Because he gave her no opposition. She sweet talked him, and honestly, not very good sweet talk way. She's like, "Have you ever heard of Dothraki's giving back money or Unsulli's giving back money? But Lancers always pay their debts." No, apparently you've had your debts for over 10 years some now, and you guys haven't paid yet. I don't think you guys pay your debts. It's very frustrating in my head. I'm just like, why are people still doing this?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
All right, so let's move forward towards the end of Game of Thrones, which will end us tonight. So we found out where actually all the Lannisters' reinforcements were going, and they were going to house Tyrell. So they were going to house Tyrell. And it was kind of shocking because I kind of expected them not being there after. He's like, where are they? I was like, oh, well, they're somewhere probably else. And I thought they were going to end the episode of them marching up to the castle. But they end up taking House Tyrell, which we kind of knew that because they had a lot of forcements. But the Grandma Tyrell's there.
Grandma Tyrell.
Grandma Tyrell. I don't know what her name is.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
So how did you think how they did on the combat scenes of this episode? Yeah, I'm going to include Casterly Lotrock and the Tyrell, the High Tower. How do you think they did? On how to set up and everything? Like, dude, seriously.
I know, right? That's terrible.
You need to stop.
Okay, so it was all right. I don't think it was that great. I was kind of let down a little bit because they kind of I like the whole snippet of him talking about how they were going to raid on top of the wall and then they'd lose. And then they went in the secret way and then they would still lose because there was more Lannisters. But overall, I really didn't care too much for the fighting tonight.
It wasn't so much that, they're still going to lose. I think it was the reason why they did that with Tyrion talking about why he set up the way he did was just for the sheer fact of being like, hey, we have to look about this in a secretive, easier way. And that's why this makes sense. And I watched after Game of Thrones with Dan and Dave, and they addressed that. They're like, yeah, he's going to predict a certain thing because he thinks that Cersei and Jaime still cares about this. But they clearly don't. They're smarter than that. They know how Tyrion thinks. I think Jaime knows how Tyrion thinks. So that's why they plan we're just going to leave Hightower, the Lannister for a little bit of with a little bit of people, and we're going to go to the Tyrells and crush the Tyrell army. Now, I will say this: I am furious at Rindle Tarley. The fact that he joined Jaime is very frustrating to me because him as a house, he's like, we are soldiers. We do nothing but serve our Lord, who is the High Gardens. We don't have no inspirations to be higher of any sort whatsoever. And then he falls for the whole, hey, if you join us, well, how about we just make you Warden of the South, Warden of the East? And they're like, well, sign me up for treason. Woo-wee. It's just frustrating to me. Technically, it's not treason because he's under the king or whatnot or queen, but it's against what we know the High Towers as, and they're loyal bannermans to the lords. And even in the kingdoms, how they are, lords, houses are still loyal to the lords only, not to the crown itself. And the fact that he betrayed his lord shows something about the Tarleys that's just super frustrating that I'm not super friends with. But then after that whole thing, they skipped the whole battle scene for the High Tower, which I think was fine. I was a little sad just seeing them walk up and seeing all these dead rose people all over the place. I'm like, dang. And then we get to have a nice talk scene between Grandma Tyrell and Jamie. And they like talk for a while, and she's like, you're in love with her. You know she's a monster, she's a horrible person. And he's like, she wanted to do all these different things, but I convinced her to do less. And he just pours poison in the drink. And she's like, how will it be painful? And he's like, nope, it'll be quick. And this and that. And then she sips it and she turns to Jamie and she's like, I couldn't help. I don't ever want to die the way your son died. Blue face, grasping for air. She's like, I've seen the poison. I've never seen that poison work before. I didn't know it would do that. It was hard for me just to watch, and I knew I did. And like, you can see Jamie's expression slowly turn from like just listening to like, oh my gosh, she's confessing.
Mm-hmm.
And like, she just lets it be, and he just kind of walks out. What do you think the repercussions of Jamie knowing now that she poisoned Joffrey? What do you think will happen? What will sprout from that?
See, that's why the episode's called tonight, episode 3, Tell Her I Did It. The biggest thing is when we find out that Jamie now knows that like she's the one that poisoned that. I think now he's gonna go back and tell Cersei about it and be like, hey, Tyrion did do it. And she's gonna be like, no, he's still a traitor to the crown because he's part of Daenerys. But it's going to lead into Jamie starting to think that things aren't correct a lot. Like he's going to start connecting the dots about of how they're going to like. I'm trying to word this. He's going to connect the dots about what my theory is about what he's going to do to Cersei. And it kind of connects that, like, Tyrion was innocent the whole time, and he doesn't know a lot about what's going on. He just went over assumptions because of her, and now this is going to, like, put his belief in her, like, really bad to the point where, like, he's not going to believe in her. But that's what I think that's going to happen now.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same point as that. I have the belief that Jamie is slowly losing faith and trust in Cersei because of the type of people she's surrounding herself with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what this will do, this will start the domino effect. Now that he knows that Tyrion didn't kill Joffrey, even though like on that day whenever he's releasing Tyrion, it's just like, did you do it? He's like, yes, I killed your son. It was me and I enjoyed it. Ever since then, he's just like, he's not a brother to me. I hate him. He killed our father too. But now since he knows that, one, it wasn't Tyrion, and that the whole trial that was done against him was fake. I think what's going to happen is Jamie's going to go back to King's Landing and talk to Cersei. Cersei's going to admit how she rigged the trial and everything because she knows that it was him. She wouldn't trust the old woman. And Jamie's going to start really losing faith with her, and he's going to start regretting everything. But no, I think that was a huge scene. It was very well done. I think the actors tonight's episodes was very strong. Everyone played really good. You felt a lot of the pressure. We didn't also mention this, but just a quick like jump off into this about what's her face, female Greyjoy. You got me like all head messed up now with names.
Woman Greyjoy.
Woman Greyjoy. She's captured, and we don't see what's happening to her because she gets taken with Euron. But there's that whole scene where like Euron pulls her up, and he's like, this is making me kind of hard. So I'm kind of like, I really don't want to know about incest stuff if he does anything like that to her. But that's just messed up if he does, and I'm kind of fearful for her. To be honest, I want her to be rescued and out of that guy's hands. Okay, Austin. So let's comprise. I have 2 off-topic things I want to talk about of this Game of Thrones. Maybe just one, actually. What do you feel about the Westerorian time traveling or teleportation effect that's happening right now?
What do you mean?
So last season, a lot of people gave a lot of slack for when Varys left
Varys.
from King's Landing, and then he was at Marine, and then boom, he was at Dorne. In this episode alone, we have Euron Greyjoy go from intercepting Theon going to Dorne, which Dorne is on the east side of Westeros, to going back to King's Landing, and then going around King's Landing to get to Casterly Rock. There's no way that he was able to get there in the time that Grey Worm was able to get there, because in that time where he went and infiltrated the Dornish and the Greyjoys, Grey Worm and all them were already on their way. So he would have been like a whole day behind them. He wouldn't have been just like hours like he was. He would have been days behind them. And that's super frustrating to me that happened. As well as the jump of Jaime from King's Landing to Highgarden. Not only would he have to go and meet up with the Lions of Casterly Rock prior and then go down to it, he teleported to Highgarden with the Lannister army. It just, there's a lot of teleportation, and not to mention Jon. Jon goes from the north, he has to go all the way to East Harbor, and then go White Harbor or whatever it's called, and go all the way down to Dragonstone. And he does it in a matter of an episode, and it's not even like that much of a time change. This season is going like, we care not about time. We'll figure it out later. And I know they're doing it to like speed up the story and everything, but it's super frustrating going from like 5-6 seasons of good pacing, and you feel like people have to take their time to get from point A to point B, to in one episode people go halfway around Westeros no problem. And it's frustrating to me. What do you think of that?
It's a TV show. That's how I think about it. Nothing really. It bothered me a little bit with Varys, but then I realized it's like, they're probably going to do that because they want to kind of like get things connected. People are excited for it, and the seasons are ending soon, so
Yeah, they did so good of a job in the first like 4 seasons, and then they're just not trying as much now. And I guess I just got spoiled with the other seasons to where I'm like, I kind of want it to go back to that, but they can't with the number of episodes and how much time they have left and how much content they need to do. So I'm letting it slide, but I'm still kind of like, I wouldn't be as upset if the characters of the world represented the actual time, and it wasn't just when we need them to appear, they'll appear. It was really bothersome to me for that reason alone. But no, it's still good. I still really enjoyed the episode. I'd give it like a 10 out of 10. Actually, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. I really didn't want to see that whole Cersei and Jaime bit. It just felt really awkward and forced, legitly forced. Other than that, I love the acting. I thought the acting was great. So, wrapping this up, Austin, who do you give the banner of this week to? Who won the Game of Thrones for this episode? Who won this episode?
House Tyrell.
House Tyrell? You're giving it to House Tyrell?
I'm giving it to the old lady, man, because like when she stood and stared at Jaime Lannister and she's like, tell her I was the one that did it. I was so happy. I was like, that's exactly how I wanted to end. Now he knows that Joffrey's death wasn't through Tyrion. It was more of that. So I have to give it to her. And she took death. Like, she drank that wine real quick. She was like, does it hurt?
Oh, yeah, dude.
No? Okay.
She was good. She's just like, hey, I lived a fine life. She's just like, you got any more Jägermeisters? I'm not going to give it to Tyrell. Though your reasoning, I understand. I can go with that. I can see that. I'm going to go with Lannisters. And the reason is they've just been on fire for the last couple weeks. They have been doing everything right to topple Daenerys. Like you came into season 1, episode 1, thinking Daenerys is freaking going. She's going to go in there and conquer everything. Nope.
And nope.
And all this stuff is getting ripped from her, and it's really making you feel like, this is a whole different league than in Marine and everything, where people say what they don't mean and it's a little political. The only problem is it's the whole mindset where it's like you're a good guy fighting a bad guy. You're not going to stoop to the bad guy's level, but if you would just clear everything out and be good. But she's not like that. Yeah. She's not going to do that. Mm-hmm. It's uber frustrating because, like, Asami's like, if she just burns them all in the field of fire and just murders the whole army, it's all good. And it's all good, but no one would accept her. Like, her rule wouldn't be legitimate. The people wouldn't like her like they did in Marine. But I'm giving it to House Lannister for the strategic of Jaime. And I'm counting Euron in that, since he is a refuge or a understudy of Cersei. The last thing, there was one last thing that I was going to say, and I can't think of it. You go ahead and go, Austin. I'm going to think about it. I can't think. I had it in my head. I wanted to ask.
Pretty much the thing is I'm going to have to say straight up that I liked that Tyrell, what she talked about. And also the best part about what she talked about was actually when she told Jaime how she never even saw the poison work before. Mm-hmm. And she, at that moment, I actually thought Jaime Lannister was going to pull out his sword and just slice her head off or something.
Simon thought that too. Actually, just the look on his face, like he was just disgusted and angered. I could see it, but it didn't happen.
But yeah, that's how I felt about the ending. So I was so happy for the ending. I gave it to Tyrell. The Lannisters, on the other hand, yes, I know, but I'm just. I like the feel of the Tyrells right now. So go ahead.
I remember what I was going to say. Thank you for talking about the Lannisters. For some reason, that spoke it. So, I don't know about you, but I feel like they're doing the classic superhero trope of villains. And what I mean by this is there's always a point in a movie where the villains just start taking everything down and everything starts mounting to chaos. So think of it like I don't think it's Dark Knight Rises. Maybe it's Dark Knight Rises, where in the one Batman movie where all the bad guys get released and they take over the whole Gotham. Yeah, yeah. It's in the Dark Knight Rises, right? Because they cut off the whole bridges. There's a bomb inside, and it pretty much becomes like a dictatorship of villains. So it slowly started echoing to that, because at first it was just Batman fights Bane, Batman loses to Bane. Then it's Batman fights Bane, loses to Bane. Bane comes in, steals all of his crap. Now Batman's crap, I gotta get my stuff back. And then so he's okay, I'm going to fight Bane again. And it's Batman loses to Bane again, gets his back broken, and then Bane releases all these villains out. And it's just from bad to worse for the villains. And then there's just this point where it turns and everything kind of ends good. Or it starts resolving. And I feel that's probably what's happening, is you see Cersei and all of them just hitting home with all these things. And I think in 2 episodes or so, things are going to start going bad. And I think they're going to go bad because of the things that Cersei's done. And it's going to start with Jaime. I'm excited to see it. I'm frustrated now that I have to wait another week. But you know what? It's worth it.
It will be worth it. And we will be here next week. Same time, same place at this on Classy Nerd Talk to talk about it. So I just want to thank Josiah again for coming on and being a great host with me tonight. So just remember, people, the North still remembers.
That was bad.
I almost the North still remembers.
The North remembers. I don't know about still. That was awkward.
It wasn't that awkward, was it? All right, so everyone, have a good night. Peace.